Hello, everyone. So, welcome to, I think this is Hangout number 5 or 6 for the Kentucky Google Educator Group. My name is Donnie Piercy. I'm one of the Google Educator Group leaders. And with me we have Chris.
Hello. Did you get it?
I did. What do you do? What do you do, Chris? You're supposed to introduce yourself.
I wasn't ready. I was
Oh,
fiddling.
sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'm Chris Walsh. I'm a technology resource teacher for the Boone County Schools, and that's what I do.
And we also have Jamie. I can never pronounce her last name properly, so I'm not going to try to. Chenault. Am I close?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. All right.
Absolutely. So yes, I am Jamie. I am a fourth grade teacher in Hardin County at Lakewood, and I'm currently teaching all subject areas.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes.
The most I've ever taught is 3. And you're 5th grade too, right?
Fourth.
You're 4th grade. Ooh.
4th grade. Yeah.
That's tough.
It is. It is. But we've got it planned out pretty well with the team. We each take on a subject and plan, and so then we use each other's lesson plans. So that's exactly what was so wonderful about Google Apps for Education.
Cool. So you guys doing like collaborative lesson planning then?
Yeah, sorta. We do, like, I plan for social studies and science, and another teacher does math, and another one does reading and writing, and so, and then we just use each other's lesson plans.
Nice. Yeah, and I think that's, one of the things that when I first started using Google Apps, the reason why I wanted to use it was, one, I got really sick of, like, anytime I had to do subplans, like driving out to school and like photocopying all those copies, like passing them out to the kids. Eventually I just started putting a icon on my desktop that just said Mr. Piercy's subplans if he's out, and it was just a Google Doc. You can put anything in there, right? So if you want links, YouTube videos, lesson plans, instructions, you don't have to go out to school to to run off the copies. You can just put the copies literally right on there for your students to see.
Well,
That's a really cool one.
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I was going to say, of course, utilizing Classroom, it doesn't matter. You can still have your class just as if you were there, and having an adult in the room, the sub to be a facilitator that just facilitates that instruction, I think is a great testament to the abilities of what Google provides for today's teachers.
Yeah, it's interesting. When Classroom first came out, I feel like a lot of people looked at it, and I did too, like as like a fully functioning learning management system. And you had a lot of teachers that would say things like, well, where can I build my content blocks? Where can I easily create assessments? But that's not really what Classroom was designed for. Like, Classroom is meant to streamline like all those issues. Like Google Drive itself is an awesome collaboration tool, but if you have 150 students and every day those 150 students are each sharing a file with you, like, that's 150 emails, and you have to physically go in and kind of move those files around, put them in the folders that they need to go into. And Classroom's kind of the solution for those headaches, right?
It's definitely an organizational tool. I mean, I have found that when you do create assignments that, and you make a copy for each student, it automatically just puts it in the folder, in a created folder for you. So that is really cool.
One thing I didn't use this much last year, but I'm really looking forward to this year at like parent conferences. There's so much talk about like student-led conferences and things like that, and students like preparing stuff ahead of time. And then I realized, well, shoot, the student could just open up their Drive folder in Classroom, right, and just say, okay, here's all my work. Let me kind of talk you through what I did.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I will speak to that. At Lakewood, we're a Leader in Me school, and we are required to have leadership notebooks. And in our leadership notebooks, most classes have just a binder of a certain set of tabs, such as data and mission statements and goals, and things like that, where I have actually kind of ventured out being one of 2 one-to-one classrooms, and all our leadership notebooks we have a Google Classroom for that, and they have folders that they put all of their work and stuff in. So then when they do go to their student-led conferences, because that's one of our goals as a school, is that we, even kindergarten through 5th grade, will have student-led conferences this year, they will actually just be on their Chromebooks.
I think
you go ahead, Chris.
As I say, I agree. I think that the student portfolio is huge, and the ability to kind of curate and organize that material and then to easily share, whether it is with colleagues or their parents. We talked a little bit about that in the Kentucky Ed Chat, getting that information out there. But I've seen some of our schools where we use it school-wide to collect that data. What's working in the classroom? How can you showcase the work, or how can you show that you're teaching those standards? And so we have created some Google Classrooms where the teachers are the students, and as the different standards are the assignments, and they just submit student work that kind of showcases where they're meeting those standards.
I was really tempted this year to try to get some of our staff to use Classroom for PGS documentation.
Mm-hmm.
It's how do I meet this standard? Here's this evidence of this. Here's this evidence of that. But kind of chickened out and didn't do it.
Well, and that's exactly what we've done a little bit of. Not everybody's doing it. We just have a couple people doing it, and then for the life of me, I can't remember it what we call it. But as a district, we have to keep evidence for each school that the state can come and look at. Mm-hmm. And so in the past, we've just had that in a shared drive and organized by folder structure, which you could do with Google. And Google makes it easier because once it's a shared folder, people can just drop it in. It's not one person that has the job of curating that and organizing it. So it makes it more of a community task and goal to kind of have that and to showcase what's happening in your own building.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I really like about using Google Apps, just as a classroom teacher, all those little mundane headaches that every teacher hates, like making sure that your lesson plans are always set out on your desk here in case your principal walks in, or having that documentation or keeping track of parent phone calls. Where's the folder? Where's this? Where's that? You could set up really easily just little buttons on your desktop that if you wanted somebody to see your lesson plans, you could have maybe a QR code on your desktop. Hey, scan this, it'll take you to my lesson plans. You can put a link, maybe a shortened URL. Hey, pull this up on your phone, you'll see it. Or you can just share it with your principal. And if she or he really just wants to see what you're up to, they can go in at any time and see it.
I think that it has a lot of accountability as well with it, especially when you share it. We have gone Google crazy this year at Lakewood. We went from 0 to 95%. Everybody using Google, and it all comes from a few that had tried it out last year, and then obviously the principal here. And our newsletters are on Google Slides, and so it's almost like the staff has to be a part of Google just to get newsletters, and we have to submit lesson plans through folders, and we have our own Google Classroom that the principal is in charge of, and we do flipped faculty meetings and so forth, and so it's pretty cool.
Having that administrative support, I think, is really key, right? Because I can be as innovative and want to do all this cool stuff, but at the end of the day, if I don't have... Hello, Faith.
Obviously, the principal here, and
you gotta,
our newsletters are on Google Slides.
I'm gonna mute her for a second. Faith, your sound's in the background, so you've got the tab playing somewhere. But yeah, so if you've got that administrative support, you don't necessarily have to worry about being like a lone wolf. If you've got an administrative staff who's able to say, hey, this stuff's really cool, and I'm going to go ahead and use it because I know it's what's best for the students. That's huge.
Well, I think Donnie,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to do what's best for students. But if we can find some tools that are truly going to make that job easier, or like you talked about, some of even those mundane tasks, I think that's huge.
Yeah.
I think in having an administrator that's on board that can see the benefit and can relate to teachers and can relate to the tasks that they have in the classroom and can showcase how these tools can make those tasks easier, I think is key. It's much easier. It's kind of one of those if you walk with me kind of thing versus just doing as I say and not as I do kind of thing.
Yep. So Faith, you're muted right now. So to unmute, oh, there you go. Now you're unmuted. Ta-da! Hello, Faith. It's nice to finally meet you.
Right.
Yeah, you totally walked in right at the administrator part too, at the administrator part. So totally did not plan that. But welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you seem like you've got a pretty, you've developed like quite a love for Google Apps over the last, couple of months.
Yeah. Just, I think it goes back to what he's saying. We're a school randomly that was kind of chosen to be a one-to-one school.
Nice.
But surprisingly, to be in such a big district in Jefferson County, there's not many other people to reach out to and get support. And it's such a big endeavor to tackle one-to-one. I'm trying to dive into as much knowledge as possible about it so that I can really support my teachers, and if it can help with streamlining things, and in this day and age of accountability, they've already got enough to worry about. How can I make their job more efficient, and making sure I'm bringing to the forefront resources and strategies and ideas that could really be beneficial and helpful.
Yeah, it's that whole idea, we were talking about it earlier, of like automating those mundane tasks that teachers just don't want to do. If you can have a piece of technology that can quickly create lesson plans, or quickly, not create lesson plans, but quickly be able to share your lesson plans for an administrator to see, or if a parent wants to always be able to see where like your long-range plans are, knowing that there's always like a link that they can go to just to click on and see it, like that's huge.
Yeah. And I like the idea that, I can't see what's your first name, Walsh?
Chris.
Chris.
we just call him Walshki, because that's
right.
Thanks, Tommy.
No problem.
The whole idea of, y'all was talking about like student notebooks or for student-led conferences and stuff. We actually did our first goal-setting conferences today with a whole team, and the kids typed their goals into a Google Doc that over time they're going to add to, so that we can see their reflections over the course of the year and how they've progressed as a student. So I'm excited about that.
That's really awesome. Now are you K-6 at your school?
I'm 6th grade only.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
it makes for like a nice experimental setting. We only have 172 kids.
So when you're talking about like these goals, is this like usually a particular subject, or is it just kind of more, is it like achievement based, like map testing, or like K-Prep, standardized testing? Like what are their goals based on?
It varies over the year. Right now, because I'm at a school that historically has kind of been like one of the lowest performing schools in the state when you look at test scores. So we're trying to tackle reading. So like today they met over their SRI test.
Yeah, and I think that collaboration piece as well. And I'm guessing like the document that they're typing into, that's something that's shared with, is it just shared with the teachers? Is it shared with the parents?
Right now it's just shared with their assigned mentor in the building.
Oh, cool. That's kind of a neat kind of use for Google Docs. And I like the idea that anybody, I mean, so, in theory, you could always kind of pull that up. So if you're going to meet with a student, you could at any time, like on your device, on your phone, whatever it is, just pull it up and kind of see what that student's up to.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, it's actually been kind of neat, even just using Google in general with kids. When my RTI manager was building the folders for the kids, a kid stopped in the hallway and was like, "You was on my account today," because of how you can see the history of the and the kid wanted to know, so what were you doing? What is this about? But it goes to show you like how tech savvy the kids are and how fast they learn the technology.
Well, technology is not going to solve the world problem. Technology, when you first use it, is a nice little motivator for students. Like I remember when I first got my I don't use my smartboard much anymore, but I remember when those first were coming out, like if you had one in your room, like the kids were just fixated on what the teacher was saying. And it's even with Google Apps for the first time when they like first see how they can share a document with one another and they notice like the teacher's little avatar appears up in the top right-hand corner, like that's cool, because one, the student feels like the teacher can always kind of see what they're up to, I guess, but knowing that they kind of have that easy access to their teacher at any time, like that's really powerful classroom stuff. All right, Jamie, you look like you're dying to say something.
Well, I was just thinking about like just being first year one-to-one with my class. I have seen an increase in engagement. I mean, and I've done quite a few things different this year, but I mean, I think the technology component of it gets even your struggling learners involved because it is technology and it's what honestly it's what like 70% of them go home and do. They get on a video game or they get on a computer or whatever, and so I really have seen an increase in engagement in students and effort, like they actually like want to take notes because they get to, create a Google slide or a Google Doc with their notes in it, or instead of just writing them down. It was funny the other day we pulled out a math worksheet because we have this great new series, and I'm saying that sarcastically, and and the kids are like,
I don't think Shelly's watching. I think you're
no, the kids were like, oh my gosh, we're using a pencil. We haven't used a pencil in forever. And so yeah, I don't have pencil problems this year. That's nice. But anyways, I just think the increased engagement. So it has been a difference within the kids.
I think, to add to that, I think technology in general can be used to increase engagement, but I think, you can have very engaging lessons and instruction that are doing paper and pencil. So I think often that students are engaged initially by the idea of using a device, but I think it still takes careful and well thought out lessons and instruction to truly keep your students engaged, because eventually the novelty of the technology is going to wear off. Just like Donnie kind of talked about the smartboard, used it a lot, but that kind of wears off over time.
Well, it does too, and like even I taught this year. I'm teaching social studies, but last year when Patriots are up 14-0, by the way, go Pats, but deflate this, but. Like last year when I taught math, I tried to go forever without using a pencil, and I started to get really, really, really frustrated because I was like, come on, kids, we're 3 months in, we've been using these devices every day, you should be used to these by now. So eventually what I started to realize was, well, you can still use, pencils for designing, planning things out, dry erase boards, whatever it is, but the point is like, well, how are you going to incorporate technology into that? Well, all devices, like we were talking about during the Ed Chat tonight, most devices have some type of camera on it, right? So if you're doing a math lesson, let's say that you send the students, hey, here are these 10 math problems to do. Maybe you're doing like basic multiplication, whatever. Kid solves it, and then you want to have the documentation of it. Just hold it up to the device, snap the picture, and just insert that into the doc, then, one, you as the teacher, you don't have to worry about like lugging home all those math notebooks every day. And secondly, you've always got it. So if you have a parent conference and the kid says, no, I do all my work, and you say, well, let's go ahead and pull it up on here and let's see if that's actually true, right? It just can, I don't know, it's just such an easier way to kind of streamline the teaching process.
Well, it's definitely a tool. I don't think that it should overtake instruction. It's definitely just a tool that makes life easier, and the kids need to realize that as well. So.
Yeah, it's funny, Chris. sick man.
Jamie, I think you're right, and we talked about this at Kentucky, or I know I mentioned it in Kentucky Ed Chat, and Leanna Prather ended up retweeting it, but the technology is just a tool, just like the pencil is a tool, and so it's never the purpose of the instruction. So having the students realize that there's a variety of tools for a variety of jobs, and understanding and learning how to use that tool appropriately, I think is really key.
Well, and that's the real tricky part, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
And I don't want to spend 6 months teaching kids. I don't want it to be, December, and me spending 3 weeks showing students how to create a map in my maps, right? Excuse me.
Right.
I don't want it to be November and me have to stop teaching for a week to show students how to share a Google Doc. I don't want to. Does that make sense? So.
Well, right. I mean, there's always a trade-off. So there are some things that are certainly easier with Google products. And I'm not knocking any product. I mean, I think the reality is that we have to make sure students realize that there are a variety of tools out there, and as teachers, part of our job is to teach them decision-making skills and the ability to recognize what tool is appropriate and what's not. But in that same thought, we have to be wise with our time and use. Sometimes in the classroom, we're limited if we're going to use what's the easiest at that time or what's the most familiar.
Yeah, students will definitely figure it out. Like, it's really not, like, I'm not really that smart. Like, using Google Apps really isn't that hard. Like, and I'm kind of a good example of that. But the students will figure it out, granted. But I really, like, when I teach, I've got my long-range plans and everything set out, and I can kind of see, okay, well, by December, they need to know how to collaborate on a spreadsheet. So earlier in the year, so me as a teacher, I will try to just do occasional lessons or like a daily activity where they might practice sharing a spreadsheet, and then maybe practice copying cells from a spreadsheet. So that way, like later on in the year when those projects come up, I don't have to spend a week teaching them how to use the tool. They can just use it for learning as opposed to just using it for the tool's sake. Does that make sense?
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Do y'all ever get pushback from like the up above or whatever? Like they feel like you're using the technology too much?
Not so much this year, but when I first started using Google Apps, yeah. But that's partially because it was so new. Like the technology itself really hasn't changed. Like it's still collaborative. It's still really easy to share. I mean, the only real thing that's kind of changed in Drive drastically over the last 2 years is the create button now says new, right?
What about incoming?
Oh, incoming. They got rid of that because that was crap.
It was fun though.
Yeah, you just had a duck every time somebody incoming. But yeah, I mean, you'll always kind of get that pushback, but a lot of times what I've found is when you show teachers, hey, look what you can actually do with this, and look how much easier this makes your life, even if it's just that one thing. Once you kind of hook them on that one thing, then they kind of see all the other possibilities.
Well, and I think not so much getting pushback, but a lot of times administrators, I'm looking around, are impressed with things that really aren't effective uses of technology. They see you using a smart board, and they think, oh, wow, he's doing great things, but the reality is, are the students really engaged? Is it impacting student learning? is it impacting student achievement? And it goes back to that whole thing, using technology to use technology is not a reason to use
Right.
technology, you know. So I think there's kind of both sides to that.
Yeah, because every now and then, like, I'll be doing a lesson and I'll just be like, this sucks. This is just a worksheet in disguise, you know? Like, why am I doing this? What's the point? But it's definitely a tough balance, though, because at the same time, like, let's think math. Like, kids need to practice their basic addition skills. Like, it's really hard to do a project-based learning unit if they can't do seven, you know, if they're lacking some of those fundamental skills.
Well, and I think that's a good that's a good reason why it's not easy to edit PDFs in Google Docs. You know, I love to use that as an excuse to don't give your students another worksheet. They're like, oh, I have this PDF and I want them to fill in this blank. I'm like, so you want them to do a worksheet? Well, yeah. And I'm like, well, then just make a copy of the worksheet if that's really what you want. You know, like,
Right.
well, it's still a worksheet.
Oh, but we have copy limits. We're not allowed. We have, yeah. I would rather use Doc Hubs and and fill in the blanks because we're not handing out paper because we have copy limits each month.
No, you're supposed to get creative with the copies, right? You put them up on the wall, you tape them on the wall, then they're innovative worksheets, right?
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
My response is, you know, get creative with the assignment. You know, what can you do instead of a worksheet? How can you get them to demonstrate their knowledge in other ways besides filling in a blank on a paper, whether digitally or otherwise?
Yeah, I really always wrestle with that, though, because, you know, there's some students that I really think, like, they just need the practice. And as much fun as it would be, like, you know, I love this breakout EDU stuff. It's awesome. Jamie, I know you have a kit. But sometimes I want to be like, man, they really need to know how to add. Or,
well, there's a time and place for everything. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I agree with that.
all right.
But I know a lot of people do a lot of worksheets.
So we've kind of talked about a whole bunch of stuff tonight, which is really awesome. Like, I was totally planning on this being more scripted, but it's really felt like a nice, normal conversation. Faith, I know I didn't prep you for this, and I'm sorry, but I figure we could do is each kind of share just some real cool tricks, some new, like, hey, did you know that you could do this using Google Apps? Just kind of a neat way to do a send-off. Chris, do you have one ready? Jamie, you look like you're like quickly going through your Drive folder looking for something to type on.
Gosh,
like,
no.
Yeah, I opt out of going first.
I'll go because I've talked about it on EdChat.
All right.
I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's new per se. I don't know, but because a lot of my PLCs use Google Apps, and you know, a lot of things are housed in Google Classroom and stuff like that. Just being able to open up documents, and if I have comments or questions, you know, just the ability. It's so simplistic, but being able to embed somebody's email into the comments that I make.
Oh yeah. Doing the at their name so it goes right to them.
Yeah, I think it saves me a lot of time, and I don't lose sometimes as an administrator because I have to interact with so many different people. I don't lose that thought. Somebody doesn't fall through the cracks because I'm able to real time make a comment and know that I'm not going to forget to give it to them.
Yes. And that sends them the email notification too, which for me, like during the school day, that is the primary way that you get in touch with me. Just send me an email. I can respond to it when I get a chance. All right, Jamie, you got something?
Really? I said I didn't want to go first, and I don't want to go second either. I'm gonna make Chris go, and you always want to be last, so I'm gonna make Chris go, and then I'll be ready maybe.
I do. I'm gonna do my demo slam. I'm gonna do it the GAFE.
Of course, that's what I figured.
Well, I guess I can maybe try. I was trying to figure out a way to show the new Google Classroom plugin. So I don't know if I can demo my screen. I'm logged into two different Chrome sessions. I don't know if I can show that. Have you ever tried that, Donnie?
No, but I think if you click, you might have to drag the other one in behind this one.
Well, let's see what it does. I don't know. Share screen. I get to pick a screen. Holy shnikes. I got too many screens. let's go with that one. So y'all can kind of see my screen now. You see, let's get rid of Sway. That's a Microsoft product.
Called out.
All right, so this screen, this is just a, I'm going to see if I can kind of do a split screen. This is just a demo account, and then I'm going to try and move this one over there so you can see. So I know you see yourself there, Jamie, sorry. But if I pull open like this Google Apps browser window, I have this plugin on the right, Google Classroom, and it's loading my classes. And so, can you guys see that? Those are the list of my classes.
Yep.
And so if I hit, I click on training, and then it says, hey, here's the website you have up. Do you want to push that out to your students? So I can hit push, and then hopefully you see it pop up in the upper right. It says opening for students. Now you see that other window that I'm moving? It just pushed that website out to all. So if my students were logged in from that classroom, all of their browsers would be redirected.
Ooh.
Oh, that's really cool. I'm so using that tomorrow.
Now let me show you this. It works the other way too. So see where it says received students? Students can actually send you websites, and they won't automatically load like when the teacher pushes it out. You kind of get a list and you can choose to pull them up, and then you can also push. It keeps kind of a record of what you pushed out, kind of thing. So super cool. And that just came out. What was that, last week, or Donnie? I think.
Yeah. So this summer at ISTE, they launched the Share to Google Classroom button, which is just a simple button that if you wanted to, if you're on a site and you wanted to push it out to a classroom, you can do it with a click. But that Snap to one that's like a game changer to me. I mean, because again, you could just pass out the assignment to kids, or you could just with a click of a button send them there. Like, it's one of those things where it's just automating kind of those mundane parts of your job where you have more time to actually teach and give your students time to work.
Well, I mean, like, Classroom's great because you can post a link and students can click it. And that was a huge change just from, all right, navigate to this bit.ly or whatever the URL shortener was. But now
Right.
This is even, to be to quickly pull something up, or even have another student share it with you as the teacher if they're doing something cool, and be able to put it up on your screen, to show everybody, and then in turn you could push it back out. It's kind of a circle. Somebody shares it with you, you can push it back out the other way. So
I'm interested. The students have to be in a classroom for that to work, right?
Yeah.
Because you send it from the class.
I wish there was a way you could somehow collect, like, even if you just knew their Google logins and could push it out so they weren't in the classroom, or even, for staff, to share something with staff or with any type of large group of people.
But then again, if you've got your staff all in the same classroom and you're a faculty meeting and you want to make sure they're all on the same page instead of, not on the same page sites, which I never do during faculty meetings.
Oh yeah, great, yeah, ever. The only thing I'm not sure of, and I haven't tried this, is, a lot of times students are in multiple classrooms, so if they might really be in science class, but they're enrolled in your math course, but what happens if I push it out to the math course because they're in both classes? That's the only thing I don't know, what's going to happen.
I don't know.
Does it automatically pop up on their screen when you push it out?
Yes.
Yeah, if they're logged into Chrome. So we have MacBooks, so it'll send it there. They have to have the extension installed.
Which we pushed out at our domain.
Yeah. So they have to have the extension installed, and then when you as the teacher, and they have to be enrolled in one of your classes too. They can't just be You can't just send it to Bob across the street. But yeah, with the click of a button, you can send them to wherever you want. So
that's good to know.
Yeah.
You said it would have to be you can push it out to everybody. I would have to give it my administrator in the district to do that. Okay.
Yeah, it's just called the share. Is it the Share to Google Classroom? Is that what it's called, Chris? I'm blanking.
Share to Classroom, because that other one's still out there, that Post to Classroom one.
Yeah.
And I actually had that one out on there too, but I ended up pulling that one back because you can post a classroom on this one too, I think.
Yeah, it's this one's better.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
you can. So just make sure they grab the right one. But super cool.
All right. Jamie, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I don't know if I can top that one though. That was really cool. Okay. So one thing that I have absolutely loved this year, and I'm going to try this screen share thing. I don't think I've ever done it, but I'll try it anyways.
Do it.
Of course I'll do it. All right. Do I hit internal display or Google Plus Hangouts? Which one do I hit?
If you click Hangouts, it's just going to share your Hangout window. So you want to share the
Okay.
internal display, and that's like showing your desktop.
Awesome.
Oh.
All right. You see everything?
I see you. Yeah, you have to move the Hangouts out of the way. So like minimize it. There you go.
Are we
All right.
good?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So a couple of things. One thing is last year I was inspired actually by some teachers at Thomas Nelson High School, and I began putting my lesson plans on Google Slides. And it actually, and you know, of course, administration approved it, and so, and this is actually what I would show the kids. And so now my whole fourth grade team is on board, and this is how we do our lesson plans, as I was kind of talking about earlier. So just something kind of neat. You can also share these, obviously, with parents and on Google Classroom, as I was talking about in the KY Ed chat. But it helps you definitely prepare for the day's lesson and any type of links that you need. Like there, I need a timer, so I'm just gonna flop that in there, that URL. But anyway, so yeah, going with lesson plans, making sure, of course, you know, you still have your things that you have to have, like your I can statements and your higher order thinking questions and evidence and so forth. So that is definitely one thing that I have absolutely loved. And gotten my team on board because they love using that with those students as well. And then the second thing that I was going to show is actually an extension as well that's called Split Screen. And are you all familiar with Split Screen?
Yes, but go ahead and share it.
Okay. All right. So Split Screen has been a lifesaver this year.
Wait, let's back up for a second. Mustache Central. I'm totally looking at your bookmarks.
I saw that too. I was Googling
my
it.
bookmarks.
Don't want to know.
No, it's my classroom theme is mustaches. So my webpage, look, I'll even click on it for you.
Is this the mustache?
My webpage.
I'm mustache
is
or.
Yes, my webpage that's what it's called. So yeah, Anyways, yeah. Back to now that you're like snooping in my stuff. I don't know, like if I like this screen share stuff.
You pulled it up.
But anyways, so split screen. Basically, you can take two URLs and you can copy and paste anything you want to in it. So like I could take the lesson plan that I had open before I hit split screen. I can take my Mustache Central and copy and paste this URL into split screen, into these little boxes. And then you just hit enter. And then let's say they have a Google Doc that they're taking notes off, or they've done some research on this side and they have their Google Doc URL or a Google Slide URL, then they can research it on this, or just copy and paste the URL in here, and then they can type straight from that. And this screen is also adjustable as well. And so if something needs to be greater, or the space needs to be greater. I actually use this for recording some pretest data that we didn't use Google Forms for. We used Plickers for, and so it was really helpful. The kids can still see my lesson plans, and my I can statements are still up there, even if we're into something else. So yeah, the extension is called Split Screen.
That'd be cool for lots of things. Do your students use that, or is that primarily a you thing?
No, actually, my students, I'm going to stop screen sharing maybe. Okay. My students do use it, the ones that are more comfortable with the technology part, and they have kind of made it where the other ones get curious about it, so they actually teach them about it. I have two of my classroom jobs are techie techs, and those kids, they like the kids that are having trouble with the technology part, they go to them, or they ask them questions, and it's a part of that 3 before me kind of thing. So
that's really cool, Jamie.
I like that.
That was great. Good share.
All right. So, hang on, let me get mine up.
Can I just make a guess of what it's going to be about?
Sure, go ahead. What do you think it's going to be about?
You really like maps. It's kind of like James with his photos, his Google Photos.
No,
really like
it's not. It's not about maps. I was tempted. I was really, really tempted to do maps. Yeah. Okay. No, but I do have a nice map slam, but I'm not doing that one. All right. So, what I wanted to show you guys was a little add-on for Google Forms called Choice Eliminator, right? And so, probably some of us, let's pretend, can you guys see, I haven't shared my screen yet. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. Share. You guys see my screen? Recursion. All right. So let's pretend that you are trying to host a class party. You guys see my screen all right?
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
And so, you might want to go ahead and you might send home something like this to your parent. You might say, what are you bringing to the class party on Friday? Donuts, milk, coffee, vegetables, fruits, and Ale8, and type in their child's name there. So, if you send this home to parents or you ask the kids, hey, what is it that you want to bring in? What are all the kids going to say? They're going to say, donuts. We want to bring in donuts. So we go ahead and fill it out. Kid's name's Bob. And then the next kid goes ahead, he fills it out, and Phil also wants to bring in donuts. And then the next kid also wants to bring in donuts, right? And by the end of the day, or when it's party time, you have nothing but thousands, and click on View Responses. You have thousands and thousands of dozens of donuts that you really don't want to eat, right? You'd much rather have your students eating nice things like vegetables and fruits and Ale8, because why not? So the way that you solve that, or you kind of stop that from happening, is an add-on for Google Forms called Choice Eliminator. Right? So here's how it works. So go ahead and close this out right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start the add-on. And then here on the right, it's going to go ahead and it's going to look at my questions. So it's going to say, okay, well, which question is it? And this one right here. What are you bringing to the class party on Friday? It says, well, this is a multiple choice question, and I want to eliminate choices for that one. Refresh this, right? And so now I'm going to open up the form one more time. All right, now let's pretend that I send this home to parents, right? And so first kid goes and clicks donuts. Well, let's say this is, I don't know, Larry, whatever. So Larry clicks donuts. Wait about 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But now, donuts is no longer an option, right? So now you can make sure that if you're going to have your students bring stuff in, or if you need materials or anything, you don't. Let's click on another one. Let's do fruits. Bill. Oh, hang on. I didn't wait long enough. There it goes. Now it's gone. So, you can make sure that you get exactly what you need for parties, but also think of it as like for, let me stop. Also think of that for like parent conference sign-ups times. Like, a lot of times you want to make sure that your parents, that, you'll send home a list of options. Hey, here's all the times that I'm available after school. Monday at 3:15 through like so-and-so, and they all sign up for that first time slot right after school. But if you just made a form that say, hey, here's all the times I'm available, and use Choice Eliminator, you won't run into that issue anymore. Does that make sense?
No, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, and it's really like the add-on. Add-ons are really easy to use. They're really not that hard. I mean, sometimes someone has to show you like, hey, here's what it does. But once you start playing with it, like, it's really, possibilities are kind of endless with those things.
And
yeah, so I want a list of all your add-ons. You had like 20 add-ons.
I have a problem. I need an
Add-on
I
intervention.
want to live.
no. I really think I went into the add-on menu and added them all. The thing that so the new Google Forms, I'm going to go back and just shamelessly do this because I'm running this Hangout and I can. So the new Google Forms, I like the new Google. Have you guys seen it yet, the new Forms?
I've noticed it's purple.
So is yours on your domain or your personal one?
I'm going to click this, and well, it's purple, but this is actually what the new forms are going to look like. You guys seen these yet?
No.
Yeah, so this is the new forms, and what irks me is there are no add-ons. Like right now, there's no way where you can do add-ons in there. But I do like how, so we'll just call this test form ever, right? So what's 2 plus 2? So you can do your options in there, 4, 3, 4, whatever, 6, right? And then, here instead of the little buttons, you can do the required little tab right there. You can go on and do like a hint text, which would be like the little piece that usually pops below the form. But you can also do branching logics as well. So if you wanted to have multiple sections of your form, in the past this was like different pages. Now they call it sections, where if you have a multiple choice, like what grade level are you in, you want each grade level to take a different form, you can use branching logic to do that. But the problem is there's no add-ons yet, which really irks me. But if I click on the responses tab, it's in here. No one's taken this form yet, but in here is where you could see like all those pretty visuals and pie graphs and all the other things that go along with it. And clicking that creates the spreadsheet, right? Or you can download your responses as a CSV right there, which I like. You can change the color. If you click that, you get the live preview of what the form looks like. But
so Donnie, if people have written a script, are they going to have to rewrite them for the new forms, or is it just not an option yet?
I hope not, because I don't really want to sit around and wait for 6 months for that to happen. But my gut tells me that add-ons are very, very popular with like really heavy form users. Mm-hmm. So I would be surprised if Google did not get on that quickly. But no, we haven't pushed the new forms out to our domain yet, just because we have so many teachers. Let me go back here. Just because we have so many teachers that are still that are using the old forms and have already gotten used to them, we don't really kind of want to throw them under the bus and be like, hey, look, and we're a month in, here's this new thing, go ahead and try that. But
so I'm going to get geeky here for a second. So as far as for your domain, like I was looking at some of the new features like like Voice and Google Docs, being able to, is that something I have to turn on, because I was expecting it to be automatically turned on?
Yeah, you've got to have the.
Are you the advanced release cycle or something?
Yeah, we're the slow, whatever the slow one is, and that's just kind of intentional. Like on my sandbox domain that I have rapid release, so like every time that a new thing comes out, it gets pushed out automatically just so I can play with it. But in the domain where I think it's called timed release or slow release, I forget offhand.
Now, is that sandbox a personal one, or is that with the district?
The sandbox one, it's my Google Education Trainer one, so they kind of give one for me to play around with. It's fun. Yeah.
Gotcha. I was just trying to figure out how I can, learn more with that, get a jump on it before, pushing it out to the teachers kind of thing,
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you're willing to pay like $5 a month, you can get access to the admin console. And kind of make your own domain. You might already have one, but you'd have to get Google Apps Read, you'd have to be a school district, which individual person isn't. So like you wouldn't have access to Classroom or anything like that.
Yeah, I was just looking, we're on scheduled release, so.
Okay, yeah, and that's usually when it kind of rolls out to the big domains, which is usually a little bit after the public release.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
Back to our regular program. Sorry for the.
Sorry, we had our EdTech geek out there for a second. But yeah, so I mean, I've got nothing else to talk about. We've been on for an hour, which is awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. Do you guys have any last comments to say?
I appreciate y'all letting me in.
No problem. We try to do like one of these a month, so definitely appreciate it as well.
Glad to have you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll meet people at the GAFE Summit, and I'll be back at Kisti again too, and then I'm going to go to the Ed Camp in October. So
nice. I'll be there.
Trying to expand.
Woo! All right. Well, thank y'all. This is the Kentucky Google Educator Group signing off.